Welcome to Academic Guru's Tutoring Thursday, where we answer all of your high school, college, and university questions. If you would like your question to be featured on next week's Tutoring Thursday, please submit your questions to questions@academicgurusinc.com. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay current with all of our new videos.
Having said so, let's just, like I said, work it out. What I'm doing now is that I'm basically having, first and foremost, you have to consider your currents. It's totally up to you. Usually, conventionally, we use the current, they come out of a positive terminal, because that's how we define the currents in a battery. So if we are having a battery like so, the current comes out of the positive terminal and basically goes into the negative terminal. So I, most of the time, just do this. And I also suggest my students to do the same thing, because it's just like a little bit make more sense, basically. You are more than welcome to do the other way around, but what you end up having is just like a negative sign, which may confuse you. It certainly could be a confusion factor, but just to keep things simple, let's just do this. So let's basically have that as I1. So this is the current that comes out of the voltage, the battery that has a voltage of 12. It passes through here. As you see, this I1 gets to a junction. So as it gets to a junction, the current rule kicks in. And what happens is that it has to get split up, because I can't, imagine you have like 5 cars passing, going through this street, and then there is like then there is a branch. So the street branches off into 2 other streets. Obviously, I can't have like all 5 cars in each and every one of these streets. Like, they have to split up somehow, like 3, 2, 5, 4. Sorry, 5, 3, 2, 4, 1. So however many go to this, the other, you have to subtract the rest to go to the other branch. So basically, let's call this I2 and let's call this I3. Alright, so we're good to go. The first junction that we met, we can write up our junction rule there, and the junction rule basically tells us that I1 is equal to I2 plus I3. That was, quite meaningful, hopefully. Now, well, let's just track these I's down and see where they end up being. I2 passes through, gets into the negative side of the negative part of this battery, terminal of this battery. It comes out of the positive terminal, and then I3 passes through this little middle branch, and I1 basic, and then what happens, actually, let me just draw it so that, because I feel like a lot of my students actually are kind of confused on what happens in this little branch. So let's just track things down. So I2 is in here, I3 is in here, and then look, I2 and I3, they both basically get together at this junction. So they both get together at this junction, and as you see, we already wrote up the equation for it. So the equation calls for I2 and I3 being hand in hand and give us I1. So that's exactly what happens, and that's exactly what has happened up there as well. So make sure you really are fine with all these things, and you don't confuse yourself over what happens here. Well, as you see, I2 and I3 get hand in hand, and they give rise to I1 here. So now you really understand, hopefully, that this takes care of I1. This little guy, this little wire in the middle, takes care of I3, and this loop like this part of the loop takes care of I2. All right, so we're good to go, and let's just try the voltage rule, because we have to figure out I1, I2, I3, and whenever you have three unknowns, you need three equations to solve for it. I always tell this to my students, is like pieces of puzzle. So if you have like three pieces left in the puzzle, you really need three pieces somewhere to put in there, so you can't have less or more.
Thank you for tuning into our Tutoring Thursday channel. If you enjoyed watching this video and found it helpful, please give us a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. We would love to hear from you. Until next week's Tutoring Thursday, happy studying.